Every 4 years, billions enter a state of collective anxiety and euphoria. But in this saturated environment, some feel an absolute emotional zero. Society often views this apathy through a deficit model. When grown adults are hyperventilating over a ball crossing a line, the cultural assumption is that intense emotional investment is the standard setting for being human. If you lack that interest, you're often treated as an outsider. You are missing social engagement, lacking emotional reactivity, or just basic joy. You are labeled a contrarian or perhaps just boring. But research in social psychology and neuroscience suggests that sports apathy is not a passive failure. It is a distinct state of being that society often misinterprets. Data from brain imaging suggests that when a non-fan ignores the World Cup, their brain isn't just idling, it is executing a specific cognitive strategy. This lack of interest is governed by distinct calibrations in how the brain processes rewards and social identity. Your neural pathways are simply tuned to different stimuli than those of the spectator. Because your dopamine receptors are less reliant on the unpredictable outcomes of external group competitions, you bypass the emotional volatility inherent in fandom. You find gratification in domains where you exercise direct personal agency. You aren't missing out on the human experience. By prioritizing internal goals over a mass spectacle, you are navigating the world with a specialized set of psychological tools. To understand this immunity, we have to look at the mechanics of attention. Fandom functions as a potent dopamine delivery system, fueled by unpredictability and the vicarious thrill of victory. This diagram illustrates how fans experience flow. Spectators achieve this passively, outsourcing engagement to athletes. But non-fans achieve flow through active participation, building a personal feedback loop where their own skills impact the outcome. This internal focus is physically protective. Intense fandom triggers the sympathetic nervous system, spiking cortisol and elevating heart rates. Fans often mirror the physical stress of the game itself. While fans rely on the energy of a crowd to regulate these spikes, you operate in a psychological empty stadium. Your emotional regulation is self-sufficient and decoupled from the roar of the crowd. This brings us to identity fusion. This is a tribal wiring where a fan's ego and a team's identity merge. For these fans, a loss on the pitch is processed by the brain as a personal physical threat. Non-fans resist this fusion. By remaining disconnected from the tribalism of the tournament, you bypass the zero-sum emotional processing that triggers prejudice or joy at a rival's suffering. If you resonate with this kind of psychological detachment, hit the subscribe button. We are building a community for people who would rather analyze the world than scream at it. But sports apathy isn't a monolith. Using Waitman class analysis, researchers identified 5 specific segments of non-fans. First, the haters. They make up 21% of non-fans and actively reject sports as a critique of mass consumerism and intellectual vacancy. Second are the uninterested. This is the largest group at 29%. They have zero internal drive to watch and harbor no hostility. They simply direct their energy elsewhere. Third, the rival coders. These people may love sports, but they reject the World Cup due to a fierce, exclusive loyalty to an alternative sport like rugby. Fourth, the socially tied. They watch purely for interpersonal utility. They are immune to the results of the game, but sensitive to the social cohesion of the group. Finally, the funners. They'd browse a high volume of sports media, but lack the psychological bandwidth to form tribal bonds with any single event. Drop a comment below and tell us which of these 5 categories fits you best. Understanding that not caring is a diverse spectrum of behaviors helps explain why apathy can be a powerful tool for moral clarity. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar provided a case study in sports washing, using a mega event to redirect attention from human rights abuses. Behind the spectacle was the exploitation of migrant workers. While millions of fans globally declared they would boycott the event, most eventually tuned in. This is the intention-behavior gap. For a fan whose identity is deeply fused with the sport, a boycott feels like fracturing their own self-concept. The fear of missing out easily overpowers their abstract political values. True moral disengagement is a psychological luxury. It is held by non-fans, who can maintain a boycott without suffering personal emotional distress. In authoritarian contexts, this detachment becomes an act of resistance. Iranian football was historically defined by intense identity fusion, but the 2022 protests changed everything. When the national team appeared to align with the regime during the protests over Mahsa Amini, fans engaged in cognitive disidentification, severing their bond. Fans flooded stadiums not to cheer, but to broadcast anti-regime slogans. They weaponized their own apathy as a tool for survival. For the individual non-fan, this detachment leads to a consistent emotional equilibrium. In a 32-nation tournament, loss aversion ensures that 31 fan bases will end the cycle in a state of disappointment. You are immunized against this cycle. If this look into your own psychology was helpful, please like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Detaching from a profit-driven spectacle is an act of autonomy. It allows you to invest your empathy and attention where you actually have agency. You aren't missing out on the world, you're building your own.